Well, a happy, very late evening to all you Nighthawks. My name is Todd Cantelon. It's Friday. You're watching It's Your Call. You're going, who is this guy? Never fear, just guest hosting tonight. Funny for me, I got my start in this very same building doing a television show very much like this 18 years ago, which is very hard to believe. When they asked me to come in tonight, I said, sure, it'll be like old times. What we're going to do tonight is take an hour and a half to talk about love, sex, and marriage from a Christian perspective, but I'm going to do my best to keep it as un-Christianese as possible. We do have a hook as well for the conversation. It's from a blog that I wrote about 6 months ago. I have a blog, it's called supernaturalfilmschool.blogspot.com, and I have, 2,000-3,000 readers a month. Well, I wrote this blog in reaction to a lunch I had with a friend of mine whose marriage was falling apart. I came home, I was so disturbed, I just sat down and punched this out in about 10 minutes, posted it, just like I post to the blog every day, and all of a sudden it caught fire. Within a week, I'd had more than 10,000 reads from all around the world. So in my own small little way, this blog went viral. And to this day, it continues to elicit great interest online. And I'm actually in talks with the publisher about creating a book based on this here blog. So I'm going to read you the blog. If you want to read it yourself, reference it throughout the program, you can do so by logging on to supernaturalfilmschool.blogspot.com. And you'll see a link. It's in the first sentence that will take you to the original blog. You can read it for yourself. But if you'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth, I'm going to sit down here and do that for you. Been living off the stuff. Insert photo of Advil cold and sinus here. Got one of those killer sinus infections just hit me out of nowhere this week. When I get this kind of sick, I just pop Advil cold and sinus and ignore it. Almost not working, this one's so bad. But it got me thinking. See, it's not just me who's sick. A whole bunch of people we know are sick, and what's sick about them is their marriage. Sick marriages all around us. In fact, my wife is feeling downright spooked by it, so numerous are the broken and breaking marriages within our circle of friends. The sickness has got me thinking. See, you can't take Advil for a sick marriage. People try, they attempt to medicate their unhappiness with all sorts of different drugs, but ultimately the kind of sickness that results in a broken or breaking marriage is the kind of sickness that cannot be mastered by a painkiller. A broken or breaking marriage requires radical surgery. And ideally, you want to be doing preventative maintenance well before you fall ill. So knowing this is a bit off topic for this here blog, I figured I'd hit you with some bullet points to consider that might help keep your marriage healthy. In brackets, my qualifications for dispensing such advice? Well, 13 years married, very happily so, with 4 kids. Yes, believe it or not, 4 children under the age of 10. I think you cross yourself right there and say, God help me. Parents, 40 years married, very happily so. Both sets of grandparents, happily married till their deaths on one side, and 60 plus years and counting on the other side. Brothers and sister, happily married. Cousins, happily married. Wife, certified premarital counselor. I'm also, by the way, a pastor and have counseled hundreds of couples over my 15 years in pastoral ministry. Good enough? All right, the points, and in no particular order. Now, this gets a little racy. I'm just warning you. It is after 1 in the morning, so hopefully your kids, like my kids, are asleep and not watching this edition of It's Your Call. If they are, it is now time for earmuffs. Back to the blog. First point, you have to screw. I use the other word in our face-to-face sessions, but seeing as this is the internet, I'll be polite. Each other's brains out. If you stop screwing, and I do mean screwing, enough of this making love silliness, each other's brains out, you're headed for trouble. This is universally true. Every single broken up or breaking marriage I know of, they're down to once a month or something crazy like that. My wife and I, our norm is 2 to 3 times a week, and for the record, we're neither nymphomaniacs nor 19-year-olds. Point 2, if you start keeping score, well, I did it last week and you never do it. You've both lost, period. Point 3, selflessness is a two-way street. Unless you're both laying your lives down for each other, you're in trouble. Selfishness is the marriage killer. Practically, this means that you do what she wants, sacrificing what you want, and she does what you want, sacrificing what she wants, and you both get cared for. If you stop working this equation each and every single day, you are doomed. Fourth point, you need to date each other. Take her out. Dress up for him. Work at it. Next point, red wine and a hot tub will do wonders for your sex life and will also help you socially. Next point, sit beside each other even if you're working on different things. Next, stay sexy, guys and gals. If you, quote, let yourself go, you're saying, quote, I don't care what you think, which equals contempt, and contempt is another major marriage killer. Next point, discover their hot buttons and cater to them. Does he like a clean house? Clean the freaking house. Does she like to get things done? Get off your butt and get things done all the time, every day of every week for the rest of your lives. Next point, talk all the time. Over breakfast, on the phone, at night, in bed. Have long conversations about nothing in particular. Listen to each other. Look into her eyes. She's pretty, isn't she? See, you were starting to forget. Next, dance. I don't care if you grew up Pentecostal, like me, you need to take her dancing. Girls love to dance. Dance with her. Next, the second it crosses your mind to call her, do it. Act on your kind impulses and overcome your nasty ones. Next, watch your tongue. You never get an angry word back. The tongue is one of the most destructive weapons we have at our disposal. If you speak kindly to each other, it'll go a long way, trust me. Next, remember what my friend's mom said in her speech at his wedding. Quote, your spouse is not your enemy. Often you're going to want to lash out, and since your spouse is the nearest available target, you're going to lash out at them. Don't do it. They are not your enemy. They're supposed to be your best friend. Next, you may not like this one. Stop going to guys' night and gals' night except once in a while. If this is more than once a month, it's too much. Guys need to grow up and stop hanging out with their, quote, buddies and go home and hang out with their wives. If you're a boy in a man's body, you need to stop it. Grow up, get some courage, grow some balls, and love your wife. If you're a girl who loves going to those stupid, quote, chatty women's groups where all they do is complain about their husbands, you need to stop it. Go home, find your husband, and take your clothes off. Next, shower together every morning. It's good to have to share the water, share the soap, pass each other the toothpaste, and see each other naked at the start of every single day. Do you notice how pretty she is? See? You were beginning to forget, weren't you? Next, do whatever it takes to spend time together. You should always be saying no to other social engagements because you need to get home to your wife because you love her. If you're away from her more than you're with her, you've got big problems. Next, resist the urge to go to sleep at different times. You know why. Next, if she doesn't like your family, either fix it or tell your family to stop being stupid. If you can't, and they won't, you leave them and cleave to her. If you can't stand her family, fix it or tell them to stop being stupid. If either of you picks your family over each other, you're doomed. Next, if you're a person of faith, you need to express that faith together. If you go to church and he doesn't, you've got problems. If you're a man, stop being stupid and go to church with her. If you hate your church, find one that doesn't suck where you can get involved and make a difference. Every good church loves getting with it men involved, trust me. The only kind, by the way, of good church is a church that preaches about Jesus from the Bible with authority. If your church doesn't believe in the authority of Scripture and doesn't preach about Jesus, it's not a good church, and it's going to ultimately be of no use to you. Only Jesus will do. You, dudes, next point, work your butts off, and you, gals, work your butts off, and stop telling your spouse to get to work. Lead by example. Work your butts off. Next point, shine. If you're a dude, shave, work out, dress nice. Make sure you smell nice. When a girl walks into a room, she loves it when the other girls in the room notice her man. It makes her feel like she made a good catch. You men need to be men that other men will follow, and other women use it as an example of what they would like to find. Next, shine. If you're a gal, dress up. Do your hair. Shave your body. Stay fit. Do whatever it takes to keep your man physically interested in you. If you let yourself go, quote unquote, you're in trouble. I know that's not a popular thing to say, but it's the truth. Next point, laziness will kill you and your marriage. All right, I have to get back to work now. Homework. Go buy a bottle of red wine, go home, and, well, you know the rest.